Welcome to the Language of Markets live session. It's Manic Monday. How we doing? Everybody making it? It's 22nd of July. Hey, Mike. New website. Making it harder to find a link. It's always in the same spot it was. We just didn't put it in 10 spots. And so we're going to be doing a little futzing around with the website, guys. And you can talk like a pirate. Just remember the link is going to be, it's always going to be up there on the menu. All right. But we're going to do some things. All right. We needed to reset the framework so we can do some more interesting things. Some things like add some places in Language of Markets Live for you members that we can do some other things that will come with your membership, all right? So we're not just using Slack for search. We'll put some reference charts up there, maybe some special videos for you guys, that kind of thing, all right? So we're going to be doing all that kind of stuff. And so let me just give you guys a quick reminder. All right, just a quick reminder. Your sessions is going under live sessions, go to meeting. There's going to be your link right there. Okay? That's it. So that's going to be the same thing. Go to meeting. And we're just getting ready to get things fired up. So we needed a framework. Just recent posts, some of these things. And we'll be making some special member sections to do some things, and as we can. Who knows where it goes, right? We're creating. It's like trading. We're creating. Hello, traders. Thank you. We're creating. Edward's helping here. Grace is doing most of the work with me, and I'm doing most of the messing things up. So again, if it was just me, we'd be in trouble. So be patient, right? We're going to design something, get it going, and it's going to progress. And I even foresee a section where some of you guys, can participate and have a voice and write some things. So who knows? We'll see where it goes. Yeah, I'm working on the tags, Mike. And notice we added a little search bar too. So I'm working on the tags. We'll get there. It's like trading, right? If we split it, if I do too much, the teaching and everything else starts to lose a little bit. So we have to do our best just to maintain a good balance. Just like everybody here's got lives. They're doing something. They have jobs, or they're working, or they're dealing with life in some way. So we all got to maintain a balance. And this is a community thing, right? It's not a big corporate website. I'm not here to we're talking about setting it up. I'm not here to conform and just attract people. We'll get the word out, because it's good to have a group of people. But I don't want people coming in and out, back and forth, just to play around and look for some sort of system. So who knows? It's the unknown, guys. We'll figure it out as we work it. So let's do some work. And keep it a little loose today. And since I have been busy, we're going to look at some markets with pressure cookers and swings. But Friday, I talked of a practice of just getting in there, mixing it up a little bit, using something simple, okay, using something. And the point is to do something maybe a little different than you're used to doing, and do it as a practice. Pick a couple markets, dedicate a couple markets, get in there, roll around in the mud, get yourself bloodied a little bit, because that's how we get ripe, right? That's how we learn. That's how we get strong. That's how, if we just keep it in our head trying to be perfect, It's very limited. It takes longer. It's better if you go and risk it and put your butt on the line with something. Because now you got your butt on the line to be wrong, to lose a little bit. And if you do it with the intention of learning, rather the intention of being right, now you're free to really learn exponentially. It matters. So we have to ripen ourselves. We all want to be able to do things perfect. Unfortunately, the market is nothing but change, just like life is. Nothing but change. This is the one thing that's gotten traders throughout history and why there can't be a formula. I want everybody to think about that, right? It's serious. It's change. You're never going to put a rule to this. Ever. It's just never going to work like that. There's never going to be a rule we can put to this. You can't prepare too much for life. You can prepare a little bit. Do some learning. You can't come up with a ready-made answer. Just like life, you always have to listen fresh. What do they call that? Like listening, listening to your heart, right? You have to listen fresh rather than take somebody else's rules. It's the big thing we're doing here, is never to just be an imitator and believe somebody else's rules because they say this works. Nothing works. No rule works. But if we do things like the practice, and there's various ways to practice, if we do things like the practice, then we can learn. Then we can learn. I got a lot more to say about the whole change thing. I just wanted to put our attention on it. Maybe that's what we'll do for the week, keep our attention on this change thing. The markets change. Let's just think about this for a minute. Let's just make this up as we go. The markets go in one way. And they change, right? How else does it change? See, I just want to push us in different directions we usually go in. There's also another way the markets change. So, you know what? When we're talking continued behavior, we're kind of talking trend, right? CIB, change of trend. But let's look at it a little. Those were my exact words there, Gina. Change of rhythm. Size of swings, change of rhythm. Yes, there's a change of rhythm. See, if we start to get this stuff, we can apply it anywhere, whether we're using pressure cookers. We're going to learn pressure cookers and swings. But if we get that deeply, we can apply that anywhere. Oh, there's a continued rhythm, there's a change of rhythm. And we're learning the language so we can see it in different ways. And so, if you think about it, watch the pressure cooker, right? Watch. Two swings that pull back into each other. All right? That's the definition. And then expand. So we did not change trend, but we did change rhythm. You guys see that? Right? That's a change in behavior also, although it didn't come down. Think about that. So there's a change of rhythm. There can be a change of rhythm within a trend. Whether it's different size swings or it's something like this. And so when we start to point towards things like this particular structure, I'm combining some things on purpose. So although we learn to do it, the instructions are necessary. I give instructions. But I also want you to see some things that I'm seeing, and that's harder to get across, and that comes from actually doing practice. Even with doing swings like this, the instructions are necessary. But just like life, we can't stop there at the instructions. So there needs to continued instruction on how to practice. We can't just stop with instructions, because if we stop with instructions, it becomes a dead thing. It's dead. You have to be alert in each moment. If the minute you go dead, the market gets you. And then you get upset because you got stopped and you can't change and you can't move. But that's a change in rhythm too. So we'll keep our attention on change this week. Because that's all life is. It's what the markets are literally representing. There's not our life and then there's not the markets. This is life charted. That's what this is. This is life charted. We have ups, we have downs, we have changes in rhythms. It's not always the same steady. Although sometimes we try to make it always the same steady, right? We try to force things to be steady in life and always be the same. We try. And it takes a lot of effort, just like it takes a lot of effort for the market to keep doing this. All right? And so we try to hold things in place, and then boom, everything freaks out, and then we all freak out. Become ungrounded, and it's a good place to be. And same thing when the market does this after doing this. Oh, people freak out. Now we can begin to trade, right? See, look at the market doing this. Boom, 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 boom. That's a rhythm. It's steady. We can keep going with it. We can notice signs of possible change. See, I'm just slowing down here. See the gap and the boom? See the gap and the boom? Right? Right now, I can prepare myself for any change in doing that, because I can begin to see structures within this, and rhythms changing. So change in behavior, continued behavior relative to what? And then you can go with. There's nothing wrong with going with. And then when it changes, you change. And it's often a good time to take advantage of trading, to seize opportunity. This is when a disconnect in the value of something starts to show. And it's not just a dead math equation. All right? And see, it's charting it. We can chart our lives in the same way. And some people's lives will look like this, and some people's lives will look like this, and, some people's lives will look like that. So we all have a bit of a different rhythm. But, when we begin to be very conscious of what's going on, and we learn to change, we can learn to change in life too, and learn to see what we're doing. It's a matter of being alert. So I'm just trying to kick the door open to some things, to see some things. That's all. It's a matter of being alert. And so then we can see, this is what's steady Eddie right here. Okay. And then we can drill down. We can see where actual people are doing things. Right? This is actual. All right, let's get a feel. They launched it. See the press? I guess we could do this in a press fashion, couldn't we? Let's go ahead and do that. Do you see how I just kind of grabbed this chart? I haven't done any work on this chart other than these lines. You see how I just kind of grabbed this chart and I'm starting to make some sense of it? I'm just moving slow. All right, we press, and I'm using a structure that we're familiar with to pick things out. We press, we expand. See, this is different than everything else. And you can see the pressure. And we come through. We don't exactly zoom it, though, right? We kind of bleed through it. We retest the backside. And now we're down here on this mountain. And then we come up very hard. And so we can see the trajectory of this life it's still going this way, but I think maybe they're squeezing it. Who knows? This thing can still expand. This is a life trajectory here. They're hanging on to it, doing something very steady, getting very comfortable. And now we're telling a story. We got some sense made of this. This gives us an option to think about trades here. It gives us an option to think about. So I'm just flowing with this. We're going to grab a couple markets like this today. And everybody here can see this. What keeps us from seeing that, right? We don't even need much. Everybody here can see is, well, we're not, maybe we're moving too fast. We're looking for a ready-made answer. Hey, Adam, mine is always hard with a WRB. Edward says, being roadkill is no fun. No. What are you talking about, Adam? Hard up with a WRB? So I can ditch these lines if I wanted to and just see what I'm seeing here. I'm seeing a process going on. Steady mountain. It's like a line of balance here. And who knows, maybe this thing will send us a steady telegram. When you were talking about chart being life, hard down, yeah, right? Mine is always hard down. Yeah, hard down. That happens too, doesn't it? See, good, you're already relating it. It's true. It's, we could chart it. So back to my practice. So I'll show you how I practiced. I'm going to do the same exercises right along with you. I'll pick a few markets. And I'll dedicate these markets to one time frame and just doing this exercise. So since we worked on this CAD yen, I thought, well, all right, let's do the CAD yen. And I'm just going to kind of get in here and look at it simply and see if looking at it simply without having an answer, whether I should use this much data or that much data, blah, blah, blah. I'm just going to pick something, put my foot down and pick something, and work with what I pick. So I'll grab this guy. And I know how to do swings. I like it. It kind of ripped here. So I'll grab this guy. And I say that swing was about that big. I'll put it at the top. I'll say, okay, about that big. It's stretching it. It's about that big. And then I can also look and I can see within what's going on. And I can say, all right, we're swinging. Okay, we're swinging. This guy's about yay big. This guy's about yay big. This guy's about yay big. So I'm already finding a rhythm. Already finding a rhythm in here. One way or the other. The exercise is to not worry about being perfect, but to just go ahead and say, all right, let's get curious. Let's slap some orders. I'll come in a little inside of it and just use a standard stop, cash stop. No, so I'll move it down, move it down. So this is last night, okay? Just come in and hit me. So I got lucky to get hit on this. If you didn't get hit, guess what? That's part of your learning too. And so now I geared myself to see some things when I might have just been thinking about something else. I geared myself to see something and learn something about this. Right? Now we've stretched a little farther, and now we've done that. And now I'm also geared to learn something. If I draw a standard median line on it, getting short the bump of the median line within that. And now I'm also geared to learn something. What am I geared to learn something now? And this is one of the most important things we haven't really put attention on yet. We can find ways, right? We can find ways to get in, at least short term, with the flow. But we need to put attention on targets. We've put attention on stops. We've put attention on entering in various forms. We need to put attention on targets. So now I'm going to learn something about a target here. So, where am I going to choose it? I have no idea. I didn't plan that. Remember, this is practice. It's a little disconcerting to not have my plan ahead of time. So the whole point while you're doing this practice is also to stay alert. All right? Stay alert. So this entry really didn't affect me at all because I was busy doing stuff on it. I just threw it and left. And so I learned something about that too. I just threw it in there and left. So where am I going to target? Where would you guys target if you managed to get in here? Maybe the lower line, right? Maybe new lows. Who knows? Maybe you just follow it with swings. I don't know. So we'll end up seeing what this looks like. But let's also learn a little bit. When you see that, right? We saw it in swings. When you see that, we also want to see, reverse engineer it. It turned here and is screaming towards a new low. This is a chance to learn. Look at that. So remember, although we're looking at pressure cookers and swings, the pressure cookers and swings are also geared to help teach us about price. It's not just a system. So if I do this and I look and I say, oh, look at that gap. Zoom. What got zoomed? And I keep looking. These guys held, expanded. Now I can see the story in here. So now I'm not just practicing with this. Now I'm also learning something. So I'm nice and calm. Everybody see this. Price is telling a story. We come up. We bounce. We try. We hit the top. We bounce. Make a lower high. Big gap down. We bounce. Make a lower high. We zoom. We test. We test. So this becomes something very, very interesting now. These are all. And with this kind of work, I've developed my own, what I call first pullback, which means wait for something to get busted. And so it's a particular tool in my tool bag. Wait for something to get busted. Boom. And then think about it. See, I can come in here. All right, so now look, I'm learning other things now besides just doing this dead and mechanical. All right, besides just doing this dead and mechanical, it's teaching me something. So now I've opened up a little bit. Say, oh, I can wait and I can develop a first pullback. This is going to be either a type 1, type 2, or type 3 relative to this guy. And so I'm hearing the story of price. It's within this upper swing. And so I'm authoring my own learning, which is the way it has to be. See, I can start out by teaching this and pointing this out, but then you have to go do it, and you're not going to feel it the way I'm feeling it unless you threw an order up here and you said, holy crap, that worked, at least for a while, right? And then we get to understand something about that. And I reverse engineer it, and I say, okay, I see. We beat that swing out, and we're doing this. And if I want to back it up, I can see what I can learn this way. And I can begin even, drawing some lines to see what I can learn. I don't know. Trend, break. I can put this on a modified shift. Okay. So maybe this is a small turn within this rhythm. Now, I don't know what's going to happen. But I perhaps have a place to tighten up stops. So now I go like this, come back with this line. So if you understand me, if I make a rule to only ever use this much data, it's wrong. If I make a rule to always use this much data, it's wrong. The rule's wrong, because the rule will be right sometimes. And you know what? We can notice that happening in life. And the rule will be wrong sometimes, and then you just can't rely on it. It'll be wrong. So we do have to start with a rule just to kick the door open up and learn. And then we drop the rule and learn. So I start with a rule and say, all right, only look at this, practice this, and now we can learn. But if you just get hung up on that rule, you're stuck in life again doing the same thing, and life's going to kick you in the butt. It always kicks me in the butt, whether we like it or not. So you see, this had nothing to do with time frame or any rule, period. So now I'm also seeing, okay, we have a major swing. This goes into my learning. We have a minor swing. We have a minor swing. And so now I've taken this one little stupid thing, and now I'm geared, if I'm not too overwhelmed, to do a little research and say, well, how often after a major gets beat do these littles keep on holding? Is there something to the wave count with these little ones? Is there something to all that stuff I make fun of? Right, let's see, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? I don't know, maybe. If I'm in a major and, I'm making fun of everybody following their little wave counting, whether it's Andrew's pivot count or whatever, or Elliot or whatever, maybe there's something to it. But if you stick to it like a religion, So maybe there's something too. Maybe this third one might not be a good idea. I don't know. So if somebody asks me, and I have no idea if this is Elliot or not. I know they're counting all sorts of weird stuff and they make crap up. It might be, it might not be. But this is an Andrews pivot count, very specifically off the low. And I like to teach about this. And I also like to preface this with, don't turn it into a religion. Maybe there is something here. Maybe there is something here under a certain situation. And so this is under the Andrews course, and this wasn't even Andrews coming up with. Andrews was riffing off of Elliot and somebody else and Professor Anderson and talking about a certain amount of waves that things turn. And he developed a way to look at it just counting pivots and drawing median lines for each pivot. See, we're doing a little median line lesson here now too. And generally he drew something like the 0 to 4 leg to see when it broke. So this would be what? So I'm playing now. See, I don't need a book. And people who have been here for a little while have done this with me a bunch of times. You don't need a book. You know how to do that. You just can't get hung up on it. So if we go 0 to 4, okay, the 0 to 4 broke. Interesting. Maybe it's time to go the other way. Now notice I'm doing a pivot count couched in an impulse leg. And my basic question, is there something to hitting this third leg above the high? If I make a rule say, don't do it, ever, the rule's wrong. If I make a rule say, always look for a turn right there, the rule's wrong. I'm sorry. We can do the learning. We can find this, but now I can investigate this, and maybe there is some tendency, and maybe there's a reason for the tendency, right? Maybe this is a stretch of a rhythm. So I'm just using my one little practice thing to learn right along here. And all we need to learn is to, learn some of these methods and how they work without making religion out of them. The minute you make a rule, you're done. The rule is good for learning. A swing high confirms a swing low. Relative swings. And see, even here I've modified what Andrews was doing, because Andrews was just counting any old little pivot. It looked haphazard to me. And I said, I'm just going to count relative pivots rather than any old little pivot. He looked like he was just making stuff up as he was doing it, but he saw something. I don't know what. But see, now I've couched it in very precise terms that we can actually study. You're right, it does look haphazard, huh? Yeah. So if you look at Andrew's stuff, really haphazard, how he's counting pivots and all that. So I take this and say, all right, if we're going to learn, let's put a little consistency to it. And that makes sense if you're going to count waves. And did I need any of this for my trade? No. Is the median line a good place? Yeah. Now, if I'm just here to make money, I can forget all that, hit my trade, take money at the new low. Why? Because price swings. That's what it does. Yeah? Boom. I just take money at new lows. I've made some money. It might not be 3 to 1, but I've made some money. Now I'll go in and I'll look at this median line. See a mini mountain, see a major mountain. A little sloppy there, but it's kind of holding the center. Zoom. This was a projection. This is where median lines shine. This is a projection of a stretch of a rhythm. It's a place to say, be alert. If I make a rule, always sell that or always do something. It'll be wrong because it can expand. But this is a place to look because that's its natural run there. And this is the place to look for minor turn. And this is the place to look for this rhythm. And minus all the junk, this is the place to look to continue that rhythm. See it trying? So if I just frame this in this modified shift, do you see I'm just following Andrew's rules about a median line who's working very well as we come through, we zoom, retest, now we're on this side, now we go to this projection, right? We double this out. And we crawl back up this side of the center of the balance. So now I've got a lot of stuff on the chart, but I think most of you were able to follow me through that. So I can look at it through this. I can look at it through the median line all by itself. But price is telling a story no matter what I'm using. All right, so there's a lot to do on this chart. If I do too much and I get frozen for a entry, I don't know what to do. But this will go into my learning. You know how many times I've seen that? Oh, so many times. So many times. If I get anal about it and say I got to have an energy point and I put my order here, that's my problem. It still might come up there, right? Who knows? So the green looks like it's tracking, and this looks like it's tracking, and we could forget everything else and follow that. So let's put this guy back on. Do you guys see? I started with one thing, and now I'm creating. I do this sometimes for my live trading, which means I'll take something to go ahead and get bloodied and take an entry. Now I got some skin in the game. Where's my orange? So now I got some skin in the game. And now that I got some skin in the game, even though it's just a small entry, it's got my attention when it didn't have my full attention before. I like green better. And this is the kind of thing that will lead to me putting on a full position someplace. And so that's another way this practice can be used. So there's lots of ways. I know it gets a little wild. Lots of ways certain practices can be used. So I'm making a little money now, but now I'm getting more in touch. I'm doing my work right here live. I'm getting more in touch with this thing. I'm finding a rhythm, right, Gina? I'm finding its rhythm. I'm seeing a certain thing change. Do we continue? We projected this. Are we going to project this now? Maybe something down here, right? And a lot of this takes some slowing down. But it also takes some getting bloody without worrying about being right or wrong. You could do this in the tick charts too. They have the micros now, guys. They have the micros now. All right, so now we have a bit of a bigger map. And who knows? I'm going to see what else I might be able to learn from this. I have a minor with a major projection up. And see, the difference is, if you guys look, a lot of times once we build a map, we look for something to do. Meaning, I'm just going to get long here and look for a twitch. Keep coming to it empty every day, because you know what? If this breaks this rhythm, this might be one heck of a short. I see all this standing out, this big gap. All right, so that's that chart. We worked that chart. Hey, while we're here, we're following the 240, right? What did we learn? So our member was planning an entry down in here. And so we know he was planning it. He was actually planning it. What he was using would get him in. He was using this swing. So that would have got him in, more than likely. And he was planning it off of this try here. So he knows what he's doing. And we took a couple mock entries. And so now we can follow, right? We can follow this market. See, it's getting itself a rhythm. And understand process. See, this can later turn into a press if it expands that way or it expands that way. And look what they're doing, right? They're pressing. They're trying to come through this guy, right? They're trying to come through this whole press here. They're trying. So my original entry is hit, short. Remember, I'm playing, right? We did it. My original entry is here. I'm hit. I ain't stopped yet. Phil, he's hanging out up at this guy over here. He ain't so jumpy as I am. We see how the try might work also. Remember, this was couched like this. We have two minor swings underneath this guy, and we're seeing that turn. Will it turn into the major like Phil was looking at? I don't know. But we got some skin in the game. We'll take a look. Let's see what else we can do. All right, so now let's do a little practice with our presses. Okay, let's do a little practice. I always like to try to do some tick charts, a few tick junkies, because they move faster. They give us a lot of good practice, and try to set up some markets that are current in some way or another. So this is the E-mini S&P. And if you remember, we were looking at swing level presses that expand that way, swing level presses that expand that way. Oh, and by the way, thank you, Nate. Nate set up a room under pressure. And I'm going to look at Nate's chart. He's doing some interesting work too. To put some of your own examples in. He set up a channel in Slack. Thank you, Nate. I like the name too, under pressure, right? And so you guys can put some examples. You can put some practice examples, and maybe even put some live things that are in play. So maybe somebody you're seeing something somebody else is not. Because even though we learn to recognize these things, you'd be amazed how often they happen in front of your eyes and you don't even see them. And so it's kind of good that we have this community here that can work and on board, and everybody's after the same thing, right? Learning about this trading as a craft. It's a beautiful place like this, right? Hey, Rebecca, I got something for you in a minute, too, Rebecca. You hang out with me. Pressure pushing down on me, pressure down on you. Under pressure, right? What is that, the Clash? Under pressure, yeah. We're old. All right. So let's look at this morning's ES. Okay? Let's look at this morning's ES. And the beauty about this, again, the impulse leg is showing you a change in rhythm one way or the other, whether it's actually changing trend or it's continuing. Queen, oh, that's Bowie. Thank you. I don't know what I was thinking of. You're old. You're old, Nate. That's Bowie. And so it's showing us something. It's showing us that we went, continued, and we changed. So let's look. Now we need to see what this stuff looks like in a chart. And I don't know how else to get this across about the, work on feeling and less thinking. Okay? We can just look for the presses. But please, just let something stand out in your mind right here. Notice I'm not looking at anything over here. Just look at where horizontally buyers are hanging on. Just plain old, it's just the most simplest tool you can use to get a handle on buyers and sellers. The press, multi-pivot lines, gaps, these are all showing something abnormal going on, something that sticks out. What do you guys see here? Right? Follow it up, right? This gap's open from here. Follow it up, right? Gap. Gap. Follow it up and just look at where are the buyers hanging out. Right? Just look. See, just this alone, as long as you don't get too hung up, is giving me a clue of something. And right now, I can do the 3 types of trades relative to that, all by its lonesome, all by itself. Nothing else. But this one little box kind of shows me what's going on. It can be a try. It can be a type 1. It can be a type 2. It can be a type 3. All right. So let's watch. Notice the zoom. Doesn't this look just like the CAD yen? Yes, minus the rest of the story. And here's the rest of the story. Thank you, Roz. That's right. Right there, you see it. It's the same zoom. Now, if we always say we sell it, it's a wrong rule. But let's watch. Let's watch for price doing interesting things or not. So right away, I can start to see price pressing. Right? See, it comes down, it changes, it's pressing. I'm not setting you up to see a long or setting you up to see a short. I'm watching. Okay, we're expanding. I can do something like this. One structure creates the next structure. We're playing around. All right, we're starting to come through. It's not a gap, right? It's a mirror bar. So right away, this is not fitting our model very well. There's no zoom. I'll sometimes cheat with this and say that's enough of a zoom and go like this. So let's see how that works out. I say, all right, we're turning, right? I see a pullback. I see price going little, 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 possibly expand. Okay, possibly expand into this whole V, right? I'm seeing that. So let's consider this now. Possibly. Because it's different. All right, so what I drew just got stretched. So let's say I'm in. Now do you see it? Now it looks like it's doing it with gusto. See that? That's a zoom. This is now this, right? So everybody see that this is a little different than everything else? Now again, these things aren't always going to come out looking absolutely perfect. This is a little weird, but you can see it. The previous one just kind of squashed in there, right? It's trying. But this, saying hello, this is that little tail, you know, this is that little tail, this is the try to make a new low, and watch. We can follow, you know, we can follow. Right? Oh, pow. We can follow that. And so this becomes not a bad entry idea. And so this is what that kind of press would look like in this market. And I don't want to get all upset here just because we're rolling over. I'm not seeing anything, any reason why I should be upset. Actually, this is just, you know, making a one of those funky, stupid presses we're trying to work out. And it's just following swings. And so for all you tick people out there, and then all you currency traders, notice how you might convince yourself to get out of any longs right here or even get short because the way it looks. Everybody see the way it looks? It's just hovering. And this is how we can talk ourselves out of a trade. And this is often how I go against that system. And if I'm not long, I talk myself into a trade so I can learn. So let's see what happens to this market. Let's take it live. We've poked a high, and now we've pulled back to what? What have we pulled back to? What's the length that we've pulled back to live in this market? Get curious. So we've seen the small swings here. And by the way, let's see, right? 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The LSB, good, Raj. And if you're not sure, go like this. See it pivoting? You see the order in this market? Good. See, just with swings. So now we can see the order in this market. And so now we know that this guy is trying. And if it rolls, well, it rolls and we go and we roll right along with it, live. That's simple. And even here, right, we can follow. Watch, we can follow. About yay big. About yay big. Let's see what happens. Or we can just keep it simple. Right, we can just keep it simple and watch the swings. Off the low. Boom. Watch the LSB. And now let's learn. Is it going to pull back the LSB length and turn up here? Or is it going to go the whole full length? What's it going to do? All right, so maybe we'll see sometime by the end of this session. So I'm just grabbing some charts. I'm going to spend the session just lining up some things. Let me do something quick with something Nate did. Let me do something. Give me a minute. I want to keep working swings and presses here. All right, let me keep working swings and presses here for a minute. I don't know what I did, right? I'm working current market, so I want you guys to see what I see, what I'm looking at this morning, where I'm placing orders, what I'm thinking about. You come into the gold market. The basic rules of the game are a major's largest reaction leg, minor's the next largest reaction leg. All right, so you come into this market. You know, you don't really want to come all the way back here unless you're going to play. You know, if you want to play this whole big swing, go for it. You know, you want to play that whole thing? Go for it. Play that whole thing and then take your lumps or take your big money. All right, either way. But I'm just going to look at this because we're following. What's my major swing on the board? It's not that hard to see what my major swing on the board here is. If we just keep practicing, we'll learn to see these things. It's just going to be the largest reaction leg that we see. That's the major swing. Plain and simple. Plain and simple. So look at this thing and we'll say, oh, that's it right here. There's my swing. So I can work that. And after this, we'll go into the currencies and look. What's my next major? Or what's my minor? Well, it's this guy. And so I can follow this market now, and I can choose. Thank you, Raj, for playing. Yeah, now you see it, right? So it's forming up. So I can follow this market, and I can choose. And not only that, I can draw. A, B, C. Here, I can start. It pivots. No, that's Hagopian. I can start. It pivots. No. Okay, so I'm going to put it down here now. Ah, look what I just learned. I just learned something, right? I learned something about center. That's interesting. Zoom. Now, if all I was to do was take this guy and do this and get a little bit curious, let's take this out. Let's just do this with swings and presses. So this is this morning's goal. Let's just do this with swings and presses, because I want to keep training to see the presses too. All right, so at this point, that's not a bad press, right? Press. Boom. Expand. See, that fits the definition. So I want to see that. And I'm also going to get a little curious. Where does it happen? It happens right about where that pressure cooker would be. See, it happens right at the try. So get a feel. They're trying, but they're standing on their head. And then zoom. All right, they're trying, but they're standing on their head. Bar level 1 at 10:30. All right, let's take a look. Oh, okay, there you go. Good. Bar level. So let's keep working this. So bar level, zoom. That fits. Thank you, Raj. I didn't even see that one. And so now we have a swing. This is the minor so far. It's beating the minor. And so now I'll follow. I got a swing level. I got a bar level. And now I'll follow. And I'm just looking at swings. I'm just looking at presses. Now what do we see? See another one, Raj? You're on it. I already know. And another one, right? See it? See it stick out? They drop them off the cliff. The same way here. They drop them off the cliff. So I'm still following. I have a new minor. I'm still following. Now this becomes important in our practice, all right? That we see where they get tested, where they get zoomed, because this will help us do learning. And so, you know what? This one is no longer in play. Okay? We're going to take that out. This, no longer in play. It's not relative to anything. This is the most current supply-demand information. That one is relative. And you want to see, oh, yes, good area. They're holding it. Up into it hard. Oh, see? Good area. And by the way I learned to see these particular structures, guys, was to look for places that got tested and zoomed and back it up and say, what does that look like? And this particular practice is going to ask you to say, where in the swing was it? What does it look like? And this is a little different than making a rule just to hit it. In practice, okay, for practice, I'm telling you to make it a system and just hit something. All right? For practice. See, even I contradict myself. For practice, just hit these things and learn. All right? For trading, boom. Is that inverted one just hit the press down 1349? Yeah, maybe so. right in here. But you see, it's not really pressing. Like this whole thing's pressing, Raj. So it's kind of, I don't know. It's ambiguous, isn't it? I'm going to kind of leave it alone. And besides, Raj, if you have this one on the way up, and you have this one, see, I don't even know where to start this one, you know, other than like here. This is what Raj is pointing to. I can go for it, but if I'm set up like this, Raj, before I buy that, I'm going to look at that. See, this one is going to, and see, these are the things we want to learn and figure out. This one's going to be my, you know, my guiding light here. It looks good. Don't ignore this. So now, Raj, guess what? We can ask who wins. Ah, okay. So let's get rid of that. So there was a little one within this bigger one, and that stuff is going to happen to us. Right? So I'm glad you're pointing this out, Raj. You're on top of it. And so we're coming up with something that's controlling. So this, it zoomed back through. It's nothing. It was just sort of a minor blip of people who got wiped into this one. Maybe we can call this a minor into major, Raj, if we want to get into it that way. Right? A little minor into a major. That ain't a bad way to look at it. Ah, they're here. And they're about this length. So now we can draw. And I can start thinking about trades along in here. See, there's another little one. See how they're doing? See, Raj, are you spotting a pattern? Boom. Boom. See, that little creative blip, Raj, could set you up for a decent short here. Very cool, right? This is a continued behavior, these two little things. Very cool. I'm glad you're seeing it. So right here, I'm not, you know, Gina, this is a particular rhythm we're going in, right? Boom, boom, boom. That's a rhythm, even though it's not this way. That's a rhythm, and we can say, oh, that's the rhythm. Let's go with that rhythm. I know it's simple. In practice, we can just hit this and learn, but I want you to see these things. Raj, you're seeing this. This is beautiful, Raj. Right? Right here, look at it. It's thinking about it. Right? Look, it's thinking about becoming. It's thinking, it's pressing, it's stretching, it's no. Nothing. Okay. We're pulling back. No matter how much this guy's trying. Feel them? You should feel heavy. 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 And every time they come up into this guy, do I care that I'm on this side of the line? I don't give a crap if I'm on this side of the median line right now. Look what I got going. Doesn't matter to me. See? I am not a slave to certain rules. I will read it, say that's interesting. But look, I can get in here with a stop anywhere. They just can't seem to get this thing going. There you go again, Raj. Here's another one. Little baby one now. Look at them. They're trying. And we could make up stories. There could be anything going on. This could be, you know, some poor guy who's short, trying to collect a little bit, take a little bit off without knocking it up. You know, he's got to come out of it. Or it could be people piling on. Who knows? We don't know. I don't care. And that's current. All right. So you've got this mapped. If we get a huge zoom from this, guess what? Whoa, you know, there's going to be something to that. All right? There's going to be something to that. It looks like this one's in Looks like this one's the bottom one in control, Raj. Let's take a look at this. Looks like we have a top and bottom one in control, doesn't it? And if a chart gets too, say, complicated, drop it. There. So this short, heavy, has not given up yet, has it? Not yet. Jagged little pill. Yeah, right. Thank you, Gina. But not really. It's in a heavy little range here, right? And look, press down, press up. See how we map this market? I just came up with this. I was just looking at the swings earlier. Raj helped me see this. All right. Cool. Trapped. Trapped in its own experience. All right. Let's see if there's something easier going on. All right. Let's see if there's something easier going on. Is this easier? I don't know. This is a press. Is it type 1? Is it type 2? Anywhere in here is a type 3. Lots of pressure. It's building. It's thinking. It wants to. So many people are losing thousands of dollars in here. And we got us a simple map with a press. That's it. All right, let's see if the currencies are looking any easier. All right, so let's see if the currencies are looking any easier. And then I'll go to Nate's chart here in a minute. So let's map out a few of these currencies and see what we can do. We're just going to do our live mapping for the week, okay? Just going to do our live mapping for the week. That's what we're going to do this session. We'll finish this out. The Aussie. Just going to do our live mapping. And we're just going to look at swings and pressure cookers. All right. I have a swing yay big. I have a swing yay big. It's about there, right? Boom. Now, let's follow this leg down so we get a handle. I have a swing. There's no real CIB here. I have a swing yay big. No, no, no. Okay. That's where I'm at. I can draw a median line set on the way down. It's projecting that. I can now draw a median line set on the way up in case it wants to turn up from here. So does everybody, once we learn to do this, I don't think I see any real presses. This is a funky press, okay? It's a pressure cooker. It's a funky press. I'm looking for clean stuff. The potential pivot at the bottom of this current leg looks very similar to the one we were looking at on Friday, huh? A little bit, see? Boom. Good eye, Raj. See it bunch? See it bunch? See it come up? See it come up? Except this one takes out some things. This one doesn't, Raj. It's a good eye, but don't miss that. See, this one zooms, right? Takes it out, takes that out. This one, not so much. So if you were practicing in this, right, let's say this was your practice, for example, to just play. If you were practicing in this, you would either, say, just have orders here, or maybe think about orders on the right side of this pivot if it starts climbing, or you would have orders here. Do I know which one's right? Not a clue. Put your own butt on the line and find out. in your practice. So if you got short here, what I'd want you to do is say, watch yourself and see if right here you were saying, oh crap, that was a dumb idea. You see, climbing up, I want you to say, oh crap, that was a dumb idea if you got short there. And then watch it. Oh, wow. See, now you're learning something rather than me saying, not here, right? Rather than me saying, it's got a rhythm, it's got a stretch. Look at its stretch, look at its rhythm, go with its rhythm. You get it in your head. Now you actually tried it and you said, holy crap, I thought for sure I was going to get wiped out on that. Now if you get long here, I want you to know it's going to take a little more time because it's bigger. You're going to have to give it a little bit of playroom down here. And if you're just sitting here waiting for something to tell you exactly what to do, you're not doing the practice. If you're trading it, treat it a little different, okay? But if this was one you're practicing on, I'm trying to give an example how that would go. If you're trading it, right, you got to risk money. Know you got a good stop and everything, and have a good direction. Do your analyzing of this thing. But if you're practicing, get in there, get bloody. See how crazy you are. All right, so this, we have the beginning of a map. It's obviously, at this point, not going to be a standard unless maybe it comes down here like this. It needs to eat some time. Who knows? But we can start this off like this. Say, all right, are we going to respect that particular trend line? Who knows? That's that. How much time we got? We got time to do one more? I'm going to do this quickly. What's the major swing? Can you guys see it? Map it, get a feel for it. All right. 4th to the 10th. Good eye, Nate. Get a feel for it. Now, if you draw a median line, okay, if you draw a median line on this guy, see how you're drawing with a set of purpose, right? Look at that. Boom, 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 boom. You can just live with this map here. This map, all it's really showing you is A to B projected from C. This is a particular rhythm. Let's watch what happens with it. Remember I told you I got long the range, took half off, went to BE? Well, what would you do with your other half here? Are you going for the upper line or are you going for this stretch? Consider it, right? This is where your play comes in. How would you feel if you decide to go for the upper line? All right, let's say you've got your piece. Remember, we just entered here. You already made some money, right? Put yourself in my shoes. You made some money. You took half off. And again, I'm not saying that's the rule to trade. This is part of the play. Just keep that in mind. You went to BE, and now you're up here at this rhythm, and you're going for this. What happens if you get punched in the eye and price starts down like this? You're going to freak out? I don't know. Come and see. No woulda, shoulda, couldas in trading. See, trading is unknown. It's like life. You have to put your butt on the line. You have to risk it. And anytime you risk something, anytime you risk opening up and being vulnerable, right? If I don't take my money here, I'm risking and being open and vulnerable. Anytime you risk being vulnerable, there are going to be times you get clobbered. And it's good learning. It's good, solid learning because you don't know. And it's going to make you strong, and it's going to make you ripe. It's good to get clobbered now and then, isn't it? Not too much. Yeah. Hey, I don't know what you're saying, Gina, right? Yeah, maybe. It's good. It makes you ripe, right? You get nice and strong. Not so much. Okay. Over time. All right? Over time. Over time, it'll make you ripe. What it'll do is it'll start to pull some of that fear out, won't it, Gina? Right? It'll start to pull some of that fear out of you. Eventually start to pull some of that out. Eventually. You can relax a little bit. A good smack in the head is sometimes needed. Yeah, sometimes I need a bunch of them, Rebecca. Sometimes I need a bunch of them. Let's quickly do the pound, and then I'm going to run to something else. All right. Let's quickly look at the pound. Quickly. See, we're setting up for the week, all right? They're not really the same size. It's kind of got the thing going on, right? See, I love the same size. It's got the expansion. But let's use it because, you know what? It's holding something here. It's doing something. I don't know what it's doing. It's not exactly it, but it's doing something. So this is iffy. They're not really the same size. They have the expansion. And it's got the essence of it. Follow the swings on the way down. All right. We walked this one, right? We talked about getting short over here. Okay, it grew. It made a new low. That's our structure. Boom. Got a feel for it? We're bouncing between that and that. Real simple. All right, we're bouncing between that and that. I'm not going to do anything else on the pound. That's my initial work on the pound. All right, so let's have a little fun with something here. All right, let's have a little fun with something. Nate sent me a chart. Oh, before I do that, I did have one question I wanted to answer for somebody. So let me answer this quick question, and then we'll finish the last few minutes playing with Nate's chart. Somebody asked me, I know you're not going to tell me what to do. Yeah, that's right, huh? You get to know me. But I see mostly you're using the 20-minute chart, and I tried many times, and I just can't see much. It's too choppy. It's too unclear. I think I'm most comfortable trading the 240. Okay. Is there anything wrong with trading the 240? Is it too slow moving to make money? Is it more for portfolio trading? If you don't mind me asking, why are you trading the 20-minute chart? Is it speed or personality? I remember Tim saying big boys are looking at the 240 and 20-minute is frequency of the 240. Okay, so let's answer that. So he's looking at 240 charts. And one thing I did notice from some of the charts he sends me is that he's also looking at a lot of these pairs that aren't the majors. Okay, and that's fine. And on some of these pairs that don't have the volume, the 20 is going to get choppy. But you said it right. It's speed or personality, and there's nothing wrong with using a 240. All right, nothing. The only difference in using a 20 or a 240 is that your risk is going to be a little more and your reward's going to be a little more. It's relative. Okay, that's it. And by the way, there will be times when the 240 is choppy and the 20 minutes not choppy. But if you find, yeah, Edward, right, the stops are bigger. If you find So let's put, say, this yen on a 240. See what we got going. It looks like we did some work back here. See, I want you guys to know, when I look at this 240 chart, I see it the same way I see the 3-minute chart, right? It's just bars. And so one of these things about these methods and what we're doing, it doesn't matter your time frame. And it's kind of important that you do find the rhythm that's good for you. If 240 is a better rhythm for you, trade the 240s. There's nothing wrong with it. I trade the 20 minutes. I need something a little faster. I want a little more rolling around with it. I want a few more trades during the week. It's a comfortable place for me. And I switch up sometimes. I also will switch gears and trade a 240 sometimes, or I'll trade a daily sometimes. But when I look at a chart, this is all I see. And so the only difference with a 240, and don't think just because you go to a bigger time frame it's going to take the noise out, right? Look, this is a noisy chart. The only difference is your stops will be bigger because the bars will usually be bigger over that much extra time. And your profits will be bigger. So if you just do a little playing and you watch and you say, all right, here's a swing in the 240. All right. There's a swing in the 240. There's a major swing in the 240. You know, there's a smaller swing in the 240. And you look, and you just look at the amount of ticks that are in this swing. I got it somewhere. Right? I think that's it. No, that's not it. It's one of these guys. Where's my tick one? Price change, dollar change. I think it's price change, isn't it? Yeah. Oh, I see what it's doing. It's the yen. The yen has to always be complicated. Yeah, it's 168 ticks. All right. So notice a swing here on a minor swing is 168 ticks. Okay. Notice this is 200 ticks. So if you're in here playing on a 240 in this instrument, you're looking at 150, 200 point swings in some way. If you're in here on the 20 and you do swings, you'll notice that your swings are 70 ticks, right? Same chart. And so it's just a matter of more ticks one way or the other. So there's nothing wrong. And the thing about the big boys in the 240, think of it this way. It's not really helpful to work on that, but if you could think about it this way, what happens is around the world, they pass the book, right? The currencies are trading around the world. And so you can think about, I go to a 480. During every session, as the time zones change, New York will pass the book to Asia, right? And so you can think about it in 4-hour or 8-hour blocks. And as Asia does their session, they'll pass the book over to Geneva or Europe, so on and so forth. As the book slowly turns, and what I'm saying is the book is the banks who are trading currencies, right? They're worldwide. And so, when Merrill Lynch is done working for the day here and Goldman Sachs, they pass their book over to Asia or the Asian desk or whatever. And so that's the 4-hour or 8-hour clips. But there's nothing special about that. You can trade a 3-minute. See, I can come in here and trade a 3-minute. The 3-minute gets a bit choppy, but I'm still just looking at swings. If I'm on a 3-minute, if I'm on a 10-minute, it doesn't matter. I'm just looking at swings, one way or the other. See, I'm just thinking about it. I'm going, what's my biggest swing? Do I want to get long? Is it about yay big? See, I'm on a 3-minute now. Who cares? It's going up. I'm following it. If it's going down, okay, I got a mountain. It really doesn't matter. Except all my trading will be done in the afternoon, period. The end. And it'll change faster. See, now I got to swing about this big. So on and so forth. See, I'm mapping a 3-minute now. So now I'm watching. Do I have a swing about that big? See it trying. Now I have swings going this way. See it trying. Doesn't matter. 240, whatever. So it looks like we're hanging in this neighborhood right now. You guys ready to do a 3-minute trade? Right? There, I'm all set up to do a 3-minute trade. Who cares? But, you know, keep asking. So find your rhythm. We all have a personal rhythm. Some of us, 9 to 240s, will drive us nuts waiting that long. Some of us, it fits. Some of us want to be a little busier, get on the tick charts. You'll have to play and find your time frame and rhythm, right? If you're on something with less volatility, the smaller time frames are going to look a little choppier, but choppier or not, find your swings. See, that yen didn't look perfect. Did you see me find my swings? Yes. All right. So let's just do something for fun now real quick, and for Rebecca also. Nate sent me a chart. He's doing a little work. He's playing around. All right. He's long. He's making some money. He's also doing a little learning. And this is play. This is what I want from you guys. Right? Play. We'll learn about the lines. We'll learn about the structure. Play. His main focus is this Magneta line, Edward. All right? There you go. Is Magneta. We got to find fuchsia. And a particular shade of red. So his main focus is this, right? What is I have no idea, Rita. It's this color, I think. I have no idea. I'm just trying to be sophisticated, Rita. I have no idea. It's purple. We'll go there. Oh, Magneta. Okay. So he's looking at this. All right? He's doing a little work. I love this. Experiment, guys. Play. Because I'm going to riff off this a little bit. Okay? So he's doing a review. He's finding presses. He's doing this. He's doing that. He's finding the interplay. He's learning. He's learning. And then he's freed himself up, probably because he's made some money. He's freed himself up to do a little learning afterwards. And so he's looking at this excursion or vector. He's calling it a vector line. All right? And who knows, maybe we can start some research, because research is what we're going to do here. Let me take this chart, right? So he's mainly focused on this, and he's noticing something. Okay, he's noticing something. So let's play. See, I love to play, all right? We did a little bit of the presses. We got some more to do, but let's play. That was what, the NASDAQ? Let me see. That was the NQ, right? The tick chart? Because I'm going to open the door for something here. NQ. All right. So this is the line. All right, so you guys don't just kind of hold this in the palm of your hand right now. This isn't like, serious lessons. This is something that maybe I'm just planting some seeds for. But it also has to do with the press a little bit. Notice what happened here. So normally, for presses, we're looking at reaction legs, right? Let's instead look at what he's done. He's come off the bottom. He's grabbed the first pivot that made a new high. So this isn't a press structure because it doesn't have two same size swings that are pulling back into each other and then expanding. with the impulse leg. But it does have one swing. And what do you notice about the impulse of the one swing? There's a rhythm here, Gina, and the rhythm has changed. What do you notice about the impulse? So we know how to say impulse now. Right? What do you notice about the impulse? So this impulse leg is expanding. And so what we're looking at is this impulse leg expanding and over time coming back to this kind of vector. All right? And having this be some kind of, interesting thing to think about. But let's look at this also. Let's just do some noticings with the impulse leg. See it stall? See it double out a little bit? So we can even say minor and major. And so now with this, we could take this, and when price pivots, after a new high, go like this and do the major. You guys see how I did that? Price pivoted, I can do that now and follow it. And see. So now I'm actually projecting this vector. Interesting, huh? Now, if I'm following swings, I can follow swings. What's my major? I can follow bumps and gifts and all kinds of things. Look at the zoom. Okay, so I'm following that. And one of the things Nate noticed after we come back down, so maybe there's something we can do with impulse legs with presses. I don't know. He saw a bump, right? Do you see how this would be its rhythm, guys? All right? That would be its rhythm, and it went whoosh. And now over time, it came back over here to find it again and test it. In this particular context, I'm not usually going to play this, but in some context, I will play this. So let's watch. So it goes through, right? We see a bump, it goes through, and we see it hit the other side. If we line this up, right, we see it hit the other side. Grab it back on that side again. All right. So that's a start. All right, so this has to do a little bit with time and that first pivot. So notice what he's doing. He's taking the first pivot and projecting out with that first pivot. Now I'm going to maybe turn that around a little bit and give you something to think about. And say, instead of using, and you can try that anywhere, right? You can try it here on a smaller scale. Here's the first pivot, right? Just like the purple line. There's the first pivot. See that? See how it did sort of the same thing? But I'm going to give you something to look at besides the first pivot. Let me see if I can find an example. And it's something that will often set the tone and the frequency, and then you can take that one line and work it. Let me see if I can find an example in something. There, here. So what I'm going to say is you can practice with that first pivot like this, Nate, and everybody, just like that. But there's also something I'm going to tweak a little bit. And so what I'm going to say is rather than use the first pivot and the pullback for frequency, okay, rather than use that first pivot, use the second one. So let the pivot happen. All right? So let the pivot happen. And then after the pivot happens, grab the more gentle slope that might be, yeah, exactly, Gina, that might be setting the frequency. Okay? So after the pivot happens, I used to just call this 2 pokes, right? So it gives it a poke here, and then you grab, the next poke to set a frequency, a more gentle, because then you capture that frequency afterwards. But this is just something to play with. I'm not going to go into too much detail, but it'll look, when it's beautiful, it'll look like this, Grace. It'll come up, it'll go whoosh, and then, as Gina said, it'll sort of set a thing right here. All right? And I used to just call it the first two pokes. Called it 2 pokes. That's what I called it. All right? And so you'll notice sometimes that it'll have a big climb. And if you use the bottom pivot, it's going to come out like this. Nate's bottom pivot came out nice, but if you use the bottom pivot, it's going to come out like this, right? You get this, Grace, Gina, Rebecca, right? But if you wait for it to set the frequency, as Gina said, right, set a couple legs after say the V, then that becomes an interesting place to do what Nate did. So we're just using that first 2 pokes to set the frequency. And I've got some rules behind it. But you see how that, if you went like this, and that's beautiful, Gina, right? You saw it right off the bat. And so this is going to set a frequency, right? Those first 2 baits, those first 2 pokes can set a frequency. And then you can take that line, right? You can play with it. I like to push price down with it. Or you can just wait for it to even ever come back to this line. And you'll be amazed that you'll see this line again one day, right? Off of these first 2 pokes. Let's just see what happens here. Not bad, huh? See it? Not bad. And if price is going to keep pressing, it'll keep pressing like that. It'll do a major, it'll do a minor. So I just thought I'd throw this little guy out there. Just, Nate's doing some pretty good work here. And I wanted to expand on it. So you're thinking about the impulse leg, and you're thinking about that set of frequency after the violence happens. After the violence happens. But don't get caught up in this. This is just, a little bit to play. All right? So you'll see that situation. There'll be this violence here, and then it will set a tone. Right? You'll see that violence, then it will set a tone. And it's just something to play with. And you'll see it'll leave that space in here. Right? It'll leave that space because that's time. Right? That's stretching an impulse leg. And then that's time. So I just thought we'd play a little bit, and one day we'll open that up a little bit more. All right, yeah, there's a principle at work. So think about, impulse legs. Think about setting a frequency. Think about the violence that happens at a pivot, and then how things settle down. Gina, you said it perfectly, right? How things settle down afterwards. But don't get too caught up in this, right? It's good to come in and play. It's good to come in and play. It doesn't always set up perfect like this, but this little 2 poke frequency, you'd be amazed how this guy shows back up. All right? Steep frequency is unsustainable. Exactly. You already got a good eye for it. Steep frequency is unsustainable. And so what you can expect from that, Gina, also with things like that, is what? Like an expansion out of that in some way. Because steep, it can't go that fast forever. I mean, it can do it for a while, but it can't go that fast forever. And so this is just one of those little play research things that we'll actually put some rules to one day. All right, so let me finish there. Our little ES still trying to chug away. We'll keep an eye on that. We've mapped a few markets. We'll get back to some lessons on Wednesday. If you didn't get invited to Under Pressure channel, please add the channel via channel settings or search for the channel. So that's right. So if you're here and you don't see Under Pressure on here, you got to go under your settings someplace. And this is where you can post examples of swings, pressure cookers, that kind of thing. All right? Markets for the week. And remember, look for really clean ones. Look for things we can use as a reference chart, because we're going to make some reference charts. And those will eventually go on the website, so it's easier than this Slack. So thanks, Raj, Grace, Rita, everybody, Nate. And thanks for the 240-minute question. And, change is the topic for the week, so we'll think about that. Do your yen, see what you see. All right, you guys take care until Wednesday. Adios.